Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this video I like to discuss why Boris Johnson and his Brexit government may be refusing the EU's offer to drop 80% of checks on goods passing from Britain to Northern Ireland in the short term while we get more time to sort issues out. But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news and politics, please subscribe to the channel and click the bell notification icon. So a bit of background to this topic, and I was reading an article in the Financial Times reporting some statements from Edwin Poots, the new, even more hardline leader of the already hardline DUP. He was saying that there is justification for suspending the Northern Ireland Protocol because the EU weren't being reasonable. Same old tosh, of course, from Brexiteers who can't seem to be able to name anything specifically that the EU is supposedly doing in bad faith. Of course not, because if they provided a detailed explanation of how the EU are apparently not treating us fairly, we'd point out how they are, in actual fact, treating us in exactly the same way as every other third country in the world. Brexit has always thrived on a lack of detail. Detail can be exposed as a lie. Using vague and often emotive language is much trickier to break through. But anyway, where I had a major problem was less about what Poots was saying. He is, after all, a guy who doesn't believe in evolution, so not at all surprising that his political outlook hasn't evolved for decades. My issue was a line in the report itself. The author, not Poots, wrote, and I quote, "Article 16 allows either side to suspend parts of the agreement and can be triggered if either the EU or UK believes that the protocol is causing economic, societal or environmental difficulties." That's not what the Article 16 says at all. I've had this before with crap in the Express or the Mail, and you expect that. You know, the Financial Times, okay, it's not exactly unbiased, batting as it does for the sort of big money that landed us in this mess in the first place. But it is at least a grown-up paper as far as Tory media goes, and I've often felt that it's not in their interest to lie to their readership in the same way as the Sun or the Mail or the Express or the Telegraph. It goes on. But there are a number of problems with their quote. First of all, belief has nothing to do with the matter. It's not mentioned in the article at all. The article states that it only comes into being if the application of the protocol leads to serious economic, societal or environmental difficulties that are liable to persist. It goes on to say that you can only do the bare minimum required to remedy the situation that will least disturb the function of the protocol. So what's wrong with the way that this article presented the information? Well, it's not the application of the protocol that is causing economic difficulties. It is the failure to apply it. If we had all of our Brexit inspection systems fully in place, then there wouldn't need to be unnecessary delays. But then there'd still be other difficulties. At the end of the day, we've got trade barriers, so the paperwork, labelling and so on. Well, that's not part of the protocol. That's not what the protocol puts in place. That's the Brexit deal we agreed. That is pulling out of the EU's customs union single market. So it's not the protocol at fault there. But even if you confused the impact of the protocol with the impact of Brexit in general, and the government are working very hard to make sure that people are confused by that, the article is very clear that you, and I mean Article 16, not the article in the Financial Times. The Article 16 is very clear that you don't just get to apply whatever solution you feel is most politically advantageous. It doesn't allow you to act unilaterally to do what you like. The wording is incredibly clear. I quote, "Priority shall be given to such measures as will least disturb the functioning of this protocol." Don't need to be legally trained to understand that collection of words, do you? No way of pissing about with semantics there. Now, Poots is suggesting we drop the protocol altogether, as are Boris Johnson and David Frost, come to that, though I don't think they're actually serious about it. Poots is. So suspending the protocol is, by definition, the measure that most disturbs the function of the protocol, because it stops the function of the protocol altogether. By definition, it is the most extreme way of disturbing the functioning of the protocol. Therefore, the article is really clear that literally any other solution would take priority. Anything at all. So, Then we ask, is there a remedy for the problems that disturbs the protocol less than suspending it? Well, yes, actually. And I don't mean something glib like saying actually put inspectors in place and, implement the protocol. We're not in a position to apply the protocol in full. A deliberate act of Brexit vandalism to make sure that we had a ready excuse for blaming the protocol. A bit like blaming cars for being a rubbish means of transport when you don't put an engine inside it. But the EU have a solution, and one that would eliminate 80% of the checks causing so much political angst. By and large, the biggest issues are surrounding the transport of food. The biggest mess right now is caused because the EU need to maintain food safety and animal welfare standards. That means we need checks for those things. Now, the EU has offered to agree a temporary veterinary agreement. Now, I'd already talked about this before. It's an obvious solution, and the EU have actually been very flexible with it. We're not talking about a permanent agreement, though that would make things a lot simpler. There's also no dates attached to it. As far as the EU are concerned, we can have the agreement for as long as we like, and then we can drop it the moment we feel that we can manage without it. It's entirely up to us. It's on offer. Take it or leave it. Take it for as long as you like. It would even mean agreeing common food safety and animal welfare rules, something that the government say it intends to do anyway. So it's not even like, what's the catch? Where's the catch? Where is the catch? All we have to do is agree this common standards of animal welfare and food safety, which we say we want to do anyway. It would mean that the protocol remains intact, but the vast majority of the checks, which is apparently what all the difficulty is about, that we are making a complete arse of carrying out anyway, don't actually need to be carried out. It would mean more resources for the small minority of checks that would remain, meaning that they could be carried out efficiently as well. It would deal with the problems that Poots and Johnson are claiming are caused by the protocol without having to suspend any part of the protocol. As such, it must, by the very clear words of the protocol, be given higher priority than the notion of suspension. It's really as simple as that. Now, that doesn't mean the government have to accept this agreement. If they can find a remedy that's even less disruptive to the protocol, then they are legally entitled to go with that. However, what it means is they are not legally entitled to go with a remedy that is more disruptive. And here's the thing, there isn't a remedy that's less disruptive than this agreement, but the bottom line is that if no other remedy was apparent, the government would not be on firm legal ground in triggering Article 16 this way anyway, but given that there is a very effective solution on offer, they've got no grounds at all. But this offer was made some time ago. I'm only raising it again now, not because it's new, but because the political heat that has been raised by the UK government as well as the DUP, and with the marching season getting ever closer, it is rising. Now, it's possible, I suppose, that Johnson will agree to this at some late in the day point and claim it as a great victory for himself again. That may be what he does just before the G7, or maybe at the end of the month just before the marching season. Maybe that's his way of saying, I finally got the EU to back down. But if he doesn't, it does suggest that he finds some benefit in seeing violence return to Northern Ireland. He certainly won't be able to claim that his concern is the checks that he agreed to. It won't even be a case of wanting his Brexit cake but not the consequences of eating it. This is a really good way to get away with a lot of the political consequences of the Northern Ireland Protocol. After all, who would it piss off to agree this? He says he wants to maintain standards anyway, and it's not like it's even a long-term agreement. It's actually an agreement he can legally withdraw from, entirely unilaterally, whenever he wants. So if he's got in the back of his mind, I can't get my US trade deal with this, don't matter. He can drop it when he gets his US trade deal. What we may have here is the consequences of having a Prime Minister who is not necessarily out of active malice, but has got no regard for human life, as demonstrated by his approach to the pandemic, and also an insatiable hunger for distractions away from what he's up to. Can't get a better distraction than civil war, can you? Is that why he's refusing to accept the agreement? Not content with take the country back to the 1960s economically, does he want to restart the 1970s with regards to the political situation in Northern Ireland as well? Who knows? But what I cannot say enough is that there is no Article 16 route to what dangerous lunatics like Edwin Poots wants. And I suspect he knows it. He may not be great at science, but I'm pretty sure he can read. But those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. Hope you found the video interesting. If you did, don't forget to click the like button. And if you'd like to support the channel further, please also click the Patreon link for details. And until next time, I'll see you later.